What is up guys, and welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. Escape from Tarkov is a game facing many issues, and in today's video I want to discuss one issue that has played the game for far too long. Before we begin, I want to talk about Tarkov early in its life cycle. Escape from Tarkov was originally released into closed alpha during August 2016, and shortly after that it went into alpha for players who had pre-ordered the game in December of that year. The game was successful, but it stayed quite small until around 2019. The game really picked up on Twitch and gained a lot of popularity, especially in the Western world, due to guys like Pestily. I'm one of the players who picked up the game during that time, in mid-2019. The reason I went into this little history lesson is because even back then, the game suffered from a lot of the same problems it suffers with now. This type of game was always going to attract cheaters, and because it is so punishing, it was also always going to tempt people into trying to find some shortcuts. This has led to an entire cheating industry popping up around the game. A group of people cheat to earn in-game money, which they sell to players for real life money. This is called RMT, real money trading. In other words, scrubs who don't want to or can't be bothered to get good pay real life money to scumbag cheaters in order to skip the early wipe struggle. Players are just as bad as the cheaters themselves, even if they never purchase any actual cheats, like aimbot or ESP. Over the years, BSG has tried many things in an attempt to combat this issue, but none of them have worked. The first change they made was the Found in Raid flea market. This change was made to combat RMT, preventing cheaters from loading in, stealing the good loot and putting it in their secure container, and then disconnecting from the raid to make millions of rubles very quickly. Also to prevent legit players from cheesing the game via hatchet run-in, which is loading in with no gear and then rushing to the high value loot spawns before anybody else can reach them because of the increased movement speed gained by sacrificing an entire gear set. Also, why they added the marked and cursed mechanic to the game. The Found in Raid flea market was eventually removed from the game many years later, and I'm sure we can all agree that this was a good change. Sadly, there's still two more changes that BSG made in the past, with the best of intentions, that have made the game less fun and more punishing and grindy for the average player. First, and less severely, we have the item dropping restrictions. Try to drop an item to a teammate mid-raid, only to find a warning message that says, "Warning, item will be destroyed." This is what I'm talking about. In the past, I was able to drop used task keys that I no longer needed to my teammates to help them progress through the tasks. Teamwork, something BSG really likes to promote in their game. Sadly, BSG were concerned that real money traders would abuse this in order to drop high value items such as red keycards to people who had paid real money for them. The solution makes sense on paper, surely it would solve the problem, but we have to consider what new issues were created for the average player. 90% of people would never even consider real money trading as an option in the first place. 90% or more of people dropping items in raid were just trying to help their teammates progress through the game. In reality, BSG has gone and balanced 100% of the game only around a very small minority of players, making the game experience worse for everyone. Real money traders make me mad, they piss me off, but in reality, they don't actually affect my gameplay. If some scrub from the US wants to pay an even bigger scrub from China for some bad gear like an Ultin and a Slick, then let them do it. It won't make them any better at the game, and it won't make my experience of the game any worse at all. BSG's item dropping restrictions, however, do actually make my experience worse. I have to load into raids with low level teammates just to open a single door for them and then extract. If I die, they have to immediately leave the raid so we can load in and try again just to complete a task. Leads to emptier lobbies and a longer grind, both bad things for the gameplay experience. The other change they made is even worse in my opinion. Around the same time as the previously mentioned change, BSG also started heavily regulating what items could and couldn't be sold on the flea market. Now this makes no sense from a law perspective. Are you telling me that private military contractors would refuse to buy the scandalous Ultin helmet from the flea market, but at the same time they are completely fine with buying the face shield for the same helmet? You're telling me that if a guy hated 7.62 by 51 weapons, he wouldn't just sell any M61 he found to make lots of money instead of hoarding tons of ammo he would never use. It also really does remove things from the economy, which is arguably an even bigger issue. How many thousands of rounds of 545x39 BT bullets do I have in my stash right now? I know a large portion of the player base would love to get their hands on this ammo, and there's no way in hell that I'm going to use it, so why can't I sell that to them? A big portion of the player base was tricked into thinking that this balances the game out and that it will prevent them from dying so much. To tell you that this is false, and actually probably results in you dying quite a lot more often. Something I really enjoyed during my early years playing Tarkov was the flea market. I had so much fun during my first wipe trying out loads of unique weapons and weapon builds that I hadn't unlocked from traders yet, able to still purchase them from the flea. It didn't need to be balanced because the items on the flea market were always so damn expensive compared to anything you're buying from the traders. Sure, you could buy a full Meta Gear set as early as level 10 because the flea market was level 10 back then, but it would cost you every damned ruble you'd collected up until that point. That is the balance, and you could still die just as easily to a Mosin or a shotgun scav as you can now, but you would be risking far more money, and it was a choice that the player had. Taking choices away from the player is never a good way to design a game, especially when it is being done to counter something that does not even affect 90% of the players in the first place. Really think preventing me from buying M995 ammo from the flea market is going to stop some guy in China from cheating and escape from Tarkov? Cheaters will always shoot you in the eyes and kill you with any bullet in the game. How is a new player meant to fight against that using 545 PP or PST GZH 9mm? Once again, I want to reiterate, these changes were introduced in the first place with the best of intentions by BSG. They wanted to make the game more fun and have less cheaters. In reality, these two changes just made the game less fun and didn't even do anything at all to curb the number of cheaters. If anything, it made them more blatant, because now they're not just trying to steal the good loot, now they're being paid for carry services and wiping out entire lobbies for real life money. At what point is it enough? Already established that found and raid made the game worse. This wipe BSG addressed this and removed the found and raid restrictions for items placed on the flea market. Now I am asking that they remove the arbitrary restrictions on what specific items I can and can't sell on the flea. There's definitely an argument to be made that task keys should stay restricted, and to be honest, I kind of agree with that sentiment. But everything else, let us sell the stuff we don't want or need, and if we want to make irresponsible financial decisions about where we source our gear, let us do that too. It's our money and our time, not Battlestate Games and not the real money traders. Let me help a teammate complete a task by dropping him the key so that I don't have to leave a raid as soon as a door has been opened. Make it so that he doesn't need to leave the raid as soon as I die, because he doesn't actually have the key himself. What do you guys think about what I've mentioned today? Do you agree with me, or is there something that I've said that you disagree with? Let me know down in the comment section below and I'll reply to everyone. If you found this video informative or entertaining, why not drop a like and hit the subscribe button. I post Tarkov content almost every day and I stream it too. Other than that, thank you everybody for listening and have a great day. Peace out, see ya.